It's my fault, and I'm an adult.
Questionable. That is like a 90-minute panic attack of a movie. I mean that in the nicest possible way. It's so stressful in a wonderful, wonderful.
Beautifully choreographed.
Well, I mean, you say choreographed. I mean, these are long takes. This is shot on film. If ever a film could have benefited, you could have done digital and just done endless takes. But no, he chose to do film for the accuracy to make it feel of the moment. I mean, I don't know. In the middle of those like long sequences, do you feel like when it turns around on you, do you feel the pressure?
You want to be the one to screw up the 9-minute take on film? Yeah, film is stressful. Sure. Film is stressful because it costs more money, and the studio cares about that. So you can't like be in a scene and like be like, I'm gonna make a joke for the, I'm just gonna do this on this one. You like randomly, if that comes in your head, you're like, oh no, I can't screw this up. And then yeah, if you're doing long takes, you can't be the one to screw it up, especially towards the end of the long take.
We placed bets on which take in the sequence of like 20 they'd choose. So like the days that we were shooting that opening sequence, we were like, how many do you think it will take for us to get it? And the first time it was like, what, 22?
Yeah, I was going to say, we did actually
We did a
lot
lot
of
of
takes.
takes.
That first big sequence, after they get off the elevator and they're sort of going through the hallway and you're meeting everybody one by one, we did that for like a day. We did
2 days.
20, well, we did it first for a day. We did like 20 some shots. And then at the end of shooting, Jason was like, we're gonna do this again. He wanted to make some changes, redirect some things, take some things out. He wanted to take Dylan out of it.
Let's try one without Dylan.
Yeah. No, actually, technically, wasn't he trying to add more in at first?
Of me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I didn't have a place. I didn't have a place.
You
I
spent,
didn't have anything to do.
you spent the entirety of that first day shooting just lying on the couch in the costume
Yeah,
room.
with my ski mask thing on and my mustache.
So, have any of you ever been compared to the people that you played in this film? Have you ever gotten like, you've got a Chevy Chase vibe, you've got a Gilda Radner thing, you've got a Billy Crystal thing, ever in your life?
No, that had never happened. And I think during the audition process, I mean, I can, at least for me, at the beginning, I was like, oh, this isn't right, but I'll audition for it because what a cool project, and it's Jason Reitman, but I don't see this. And then like every step through the process was like, no. This doesn't make sense.
Look like young Chevy Chase.
Well, now, I mean, now
Yeah,
I
that's
guess,
wild.
now I guess I see it. But no, I think we all sort of experienced a little bit of imposter syndrome. I mean, I don't, not to call you out, Dylan, but I know that Dylan.
That's the theme of tonight, we're doing that.
Yeah, but we were there and
Let it
Dylan, I was trying to like be hype man to Dylan because Dylan wasn't like seeing it or feeling it, but I think the rest of us did. I remember at the read through, your voice was the
Stunned
first
everyone.
thing
Right.
that everybody was like,
That was the first of the
holy
dominoes to
shit.
fall.
Well, for the session that I had with Jason, when it was like my session with him and John Pasadero, who cast the whole thing, I was waiting to go into the room, and this guy sat down on the couch next to me and looked exactly like Billy Crystal. And I was like, sick, all right, well, I'll just go. And it was wild when I got the call that I was gonna do it, and then I actually started watching some Billy Crystal movies because I really only knew him as Mike Wazowski. And that was like my in. And I was like, put that thing back where it came from, so help me, so help me. And then I finally found out who he was, and it was terrific to get to know this unbelievable career of this unbelievable comedian. And so what a great journey that was to have the chance to do it.
For you, Ella, Gilda Radner in your orbit at all?
No.
It's okay. You nailed it. You didn't need to know, apparently. But what did you learn in the process? What were the epiphanies as you started to approach playing this icon in comedy?
I guess she didn't think that she was funny, and I could really relate. Like when I got sent the audition for this, I thought my agent was joking. Like I thought that there was like no world where I was gonna get to audition, let alone play Gilda. Thank you. And I got the call that I got it in a Hudson's bookstore at JFK and burst into tears. And got home like wide awake off a red eye, told my family, and they were like, who? They had no idea who she was, and then I showed them some videos and my brothers were like, Ella, you get to be goofy. I feel like I've spent my whole career so far playing very serious, kind of miserable women. So get to play a joyful person was a joy.
Is there a little more, for you, Kyle, a little more freedom? Obviously, we know the name, but we don't necessarily know Jacqueline in comedic history. So do you feel a little less pressure on set playing this character, or what's the task at hand?
Yes, when I got the audition, it was like Jacqueline Carlin, model. I was like, totally got that in the bag. But I did as much research on her as I could. There wasn't as much footage of Jacqueline out there. There was a lot of stuff with her and Chevy, and then after that, much less. So I definitely felt less pressure, and I couldn't find any videos of her speaking. And then the night before we started filming, I was like, there has to be something, and it was like midnight. And I decided to go on a really deep dive, and I of course found a video of her speaking. I was like, I have 5 hours, perfect, great, awesome. But it was
self-destruction.
Yeah, you can't go on your phone past like 10 p.m. if you ask me. But I had the privilege. My first day filming was with these two lovely gentlemen next to me, and I of course knew Chevy and Dan well from like I grew up watching them, and so we were filming the fake commercial that they filmed, the new dad sketch, and I wasn't at the table read, so no one invited me to that, but interesting, so I didn't know what anyone was bringing to it, and so we just went right into it, and I hear Dylan come in and say, honey, I'm home, and I was like, oh my god, that's him, that's Dan. No, truly. And also Dylan does this thing where he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And we couldn't have been less true, you both. And then you came in and said, honey, I'm home. And I was like, I'm living the dream. And then I saw real talent.
We have one more very important cast member to welcome, Kathy Curry, everybody.
Welcome. Walks to the wrong place.
The censor is in the house. Be careful, everybody.
I know, I'm a New Yorker, so for a New Yorker to get lost in Brooklyn, it's really embarrassing.
We're going to throw you right into the fire, because we were just talking to Kaya about, the challenge of playing someone that's important in this story, but not necessarily recognizable to the audience. And you're playing a character, correct me if I'm wrong, that isn't necessarily have a direct corollary in history, or an actual person.
I think she was a person, but not by that name.
Right.
But she did like the Tonight Show. She was there for like 30 years, and she was known, and not nice things were said about her. She was a real person, and I think it's good that they changed her name in a way, But yeah, so there wasn't any material on her, she was sort of invisible in the ranks, the corporate ranks.
The palpable tension, sexual tension, obviously, between you and Michael O'Donoghue's character in the film, sorry, is pretty amazing. I mean,
that scene in The Office where he's Satan and he burns the pages. That day was like watching the sparring match happen is some of the most fun I've had.
I thought the most fun was when you all started yelling Satan.
It was the same day. That was so great.
I loved that part. I was like, this is just awesome.
So let's talk about a couple other iconic people that you folks are playing. Mr. Dan Aykroyd. I mean, we all know Dan Aykroyd. We know his mannerisms. We know how he speaks. You nail it, man. You truly nail it in this. It's a remarkable performance. You have to take it, accept it. what was the key? Because the cadence of the voice is very particular. Was it just repetition of watching over and over again? How do you get there?
I don't. Yeah. Well, the things that I focused on for Dan were like he's so articulate. He's like very verbose. It's like he's actually exhausting to play, especially if any time I'm ever like, oh, I kind of want to ad lib, but I have to like prepare to ad lib because he's so much faster than I am. That makes sense. Like he's lightning quick. He never stutters. He doesn't curse. So he's really difficult to like improvise as because he's so much smarter than I am. Yeah, I'm just talking. This was my process. It's true. Those were kind of the things that I picked up on or honed in on and tried to, I guess, emulate.
For Corey, again, similarly, Chevy, iconic in his physicality. Also, like, you know, if you read all the stories, the books, I mean, there's a lot of, like, you know, stuff said about Chevy, and I would imagine you have to have some empathy for what he was going through, stardom being foisted on him and dealing with that kind of massive ego that has to be built in the course of this moment in time. How did your view of Chevy change, perhaps going in and then on the other side of making the movie?
I mean, to be fair, I don't think I really had a strong opinion of Chevy. I mean, I know there's a lot of controversial stuff in modern day about the guy, but I'm, to be fair, like not really well versed in all of that. I just know him as a kid, the stuff that I watched, and you know, when you get a script where you're playing real people, it's not like a popper. Sets are like crammed one against each other, just like filed in a row. And during the commercial breaks, it's absolute madness to shift the set. And there's this woman, Donna, who's the wrangler for the Star. And she, as soon as it's sketch is over and they like go to commercial break, this woman like jumps out and she's like hustling up there and she grabs him and she's like pulling him like through the thing. It's absolute madness, and she's a cartoon character. It's awesome.
A waist harness on, and she's got like a leash attached to it. And she pulls him. It's unbelievable.
As an actor should be treated, by the way.
Always.